everybody. Pleasure to see you all again. I promise this is probably the last time we're going to together like this and rub you to sleep this year. Well, officially, anyways. Anything that happens after now, it's self-inflicted. Um, but it's a pleasure to be here. I've been hearing good things from Jonah and also from the team. It seems like uh, everyone was able to really just jump on the assignments right after our session on Saturday. So that's really helpful. As organizers of boot camps like this, we're always a bit nervous, around that phase where we're in a lot of theory and teaching you guys to jump into the hands-on stuff. But I must say that your cohort made it very easy for us because we were observing on Saturday, right, Jonah? How everyone was just self-organizing, right, and taking leadership roles even without really assigned leaders. That's really a great thing. Part of being an innovator, as you know, is the self-drive and the initiative. And I think that this cohort has a lot of that. So please put your hands together for yourselves. If nobody's clapping, thank you, Ebenezer, for clapping. All right, awesome. Okay, so as Jonah said, the next few minutes, we would love to get a quick snapshot of how it's going so far. Apologies in advance. We are not going to take the details of what you've been. I know you've been doing a lot of awesome stuff. Checked out the mirror board. But again, this is a snapshot of how it's like in the real world of an innovator. You seldom have an hour to present anything. You probably just have 30 seconds to give a snapshot of what you've been doing. All right. So to help you articulate your thoughts properly and put your best foot forward, it'll be important, as Jonah said, you just let us know the challenge we gave your group, right? Preferably if you can just share your screen, that's even better. I just want to see this is the challenge that we got, and then we want to see your problem statement, right? The problem statement that you've come up with after your many iterations and all the things you've done, right? So what's the problem statement that your team is working with now, your final problem statement? We just want to see those two things. Yeah. It cuts through a lot of noise. So that's all we want to hear from both your teams, and then we'll give a bit of feedback. All right. And in order to help us do this on the call today, you have myself, Jonah, and a good friend of the house, Goodness Adewale. Goodness, apologies in advance. I don't have your biography written out because it's too long. We tried to write, but man, I stopped at page 3. I was like, yeah, okay, that's a lie. We didn't try to write anything. However, if I started reading it out, we would the entire 30 minutes, regardless if I started talking about it. But Goodness, friend turned brother. He's been in the game long, very long. Goodness used to be where you're sitting. The only difference is he never got the privilege to have an organized training like this. He left his on the streets and started from the streets of Lagos, Ghana, just really figuring out this stuff under the hot sun. These days, he's a technical product manager with a focus on analytics and business intelligence with Ascot Group in New York. And so it's pretty early in the day for him over there, and he decided to make out some time to hang out with us for a few minutes. So Goodness is gonna jump in and help us also take a look at what you're doing and give his 20 cents. Goodness, do you want to say hi?
Hi everyone. It's so surreal to be here because I'm listening to everybody talking. I'm like, oh my god, how did you guys bake all of these things into trainings? Because when someone was talking about how confused they were when they first started. I'm like, oh my God, if you don't feel confused, you're not doing anything new. We've all been there, and it's a part of the journey. All of the root cause analysis was something that I remember a conversation Oluchi and I were having at Viburnum Valley then. We were at lunch in the cafeteria section, and we were talking about this and the 5 whys, how you drill down into this. We're just like, oh, how do we get this? How do we get this? And now you guys are here. Someone is providing you all the resources that you need to figure out how to find the root cause of a problem. Oh my God, you are in a very good place. So yeah, I'm always, I'm a friend of the house. I'm a friend of the house. I work with Jonah. I work with many of the people that you guys, work with today, and it's my pleasure to be spending some time with you guys today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, sir. We promise we will not stress you too much. All right, Jonah, over to you. Let us know how this is gonna go.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you very much, Goodness, and good to see you. So guys, group 3, quickly share your screen, and yeah, just want to quickly see the challenge and how it has evolved. What's the current problem statement? What does it look like?
All right, I will be sharing my screen in a sec. Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a second, I'm sharing my screen. So just a brief disclaimer, we didn't get into the customer journey as well as the root cause analysis, but we have the persona as well as the problem.
Sorry, sir. Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hi, so sorry to interrupt you, sir. Please, can I request that you turn on your camera? It's one of the ground rules for these sessions, right? We have to have videos on, especially in the days of yeah. This could be Ebenezer Chiazo's consciousness, and it's not a real human being we're speaking to. So can we please all turn on our cameras? Thank you. We know this. Thanks.
All right. Please confirm you can see my camera.
All right. Yes. Hi, Ebenezer. So I just heard you there. You said you guys were able to get to your root cause analysis, right?
Yes.
So it means you're still working with the original problem statement that was given to you, right?
Yes, the problem statements. What we have done is the journey map, as well as the persona.
Okay, so I think we'll actually skip your team because we just want to see where you started, like where you, what was given to you, and then how it has evolved. So the root cause analysis. So group 4, and I think I will actually share my screen. So so that we don't need to be changing. So I'll just share my screen and I'll be moving across the different groups. So group 4, whoever is speaking, get ready. Group 4.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please. Yes.
Good evening, sirs, and good evening, everyone. All right, I'm speaking on behalf of 4. So the problem that was given to us was intra-Africa trade. So there's a huge challenge in exporting in doing businesses within Africa. So small and medium business owners have difficulties, have a lot of challenges working or doing businesses with other African countries. And so challenges such as poor infrastructures and inadequate or inability to access new markets and little or no finances to support the business. And because of that, the percentage that is meant for the African market it's been untapped. It has not been tapped, and that is putting a lot of business owners, at the risk of going out of business. So that's the problem. So John, who is our persona, has this problem. He's facing this problem too, and has been looking for solution on how to overcome this challenge. Okay.
So
Okay, so,
what's the problem statement that you guys are working with now?
so after the root cause analysis, we got to understand that this is not just an individual. They have been before not wanting to invest in infrastructures. They rather extract resources rather than invest in all of this in these areas that would facilitate or that would cause that would help businesses within Africa to thrive. And so if these areas are tackled, if the government is focused on developing systems that will aid intra-African trade, businesses will thrive. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but this is where we are.
Okay. Hierarchy. We've just had group 4. I think that's TradeLink Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm listening to you. So here's short response. Can you guys hear me?
Very clear.
Yes, sir.
Sketchy. Okay. Short response. Juliana, you're gonna take it again.
That
And here's
presentation.
why. You're going to particularly the problem statement side. You're going to take it again. And the reason you're going to take it again, and this is for every other group, you are going to synthesize. Yeah. In a future bootcamp, we are going to have that conversation when we're preparing you guys for pitching. But the question here was, what is your problem statement? And what we want to hear is, what is the problem statement? But what you did was give a lot of explanation as to how you arrived at it and why it's fantastic. And I love that. You're a natural orator. However, what's the problem statement? Right? You have to put that up front and center at the conclusion. Bam. Yeah. So we want to see the challenge, and then we want to see the problem statement. All of that should not take more than 15 seconds. Then if we have a bit of time, we can ask you for context. All right. So can you take that again, please? What was a challenge? And then what was the problem statement? Don't worry. The more you practice it, the better you get. So no pressure. Unfortunately for you, you're going first.
So, sir, please, the challenge is the problem definition that was given to us. Is that
Correct? Correct.
okay? Okay, so
How do you
problem,
synthesize the whole thing in 10 seconds? What's the challenge given to you?
the challenge is challenges businesses within Africa face transacting with each other. So that's the challenge.
Right.
And
Okay. What's the problem statement that you deduced from this challenge?
please, Jenna, can you scroll up to my problem statement? Okay. Please, Jenna, can you please scroll up to my problem statement?
Which Is it this?
So, so we deduce that sorry, I'm streaming my PCC. So we deduce that poor logistics and inadequate infrastructure with complex border regulations are barriers that have caused this limitation in intra-African trade. Sir, am I
Sorry,
right?
are you still speaking?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I was trying to read this. Over the past year, approximately 80%. This is your problem statement, right? This is what you guys
Yes,
came up
sir.
with.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 80% of small businesses like John's, these barriers have led to delays, operational costs, and tax. As a result, 60% of potential trade opportunities remain untapped, with businesses losing an average of 50. Interesting. I see. Okay. Jonah, how do you want this to proceed? You want us to give feedback right now? Or do you want us to take all 5 teams?
I think we should go take the next 2 and then take a pause there, give you feedback, and then take the last 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you, Juliana.
Thank
So
you,
that's
sir.
group 5. Is Excel.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay. We can hear you.
Please, can anyone? Okay, thank you, Mr. Jonah. My name is Brandon Alman Nyamkimbi, and I'll be talking on behalf of Group Excel, that's Group 5. Our challenge we were given was over 600 million Africans lack access and reliance on traditional energy, increases cost and environmental polar impact. So we did a root cause analysis and we came out with a problem statement that says it goes as such. Undeserved low-income communities face access to electricity due to absence of affordable, scalable financing solutions and efficient distribution models tailored to their needs. And this creates a reliance on expensive and unsustainable energy sources such as generators. I think we all know with, let's say, Nigeria, the high price of fuel now, and hindering economic and social development. We even had a simple solution that is a pay-as-you-go solar solutions that we came up with as a way to tackle our problem statement, where we provide a small installment payment over time solution to help out. We had a simple persona of a day-to-day person. Yes, sir.
Brandon, for now, we'll just stick with the problem. Solution will be from the next
Okay.
bootcamp. So for now, we just want to make sure that you even understand a good grasp at the problem you're trying to solve. So thank you for that.
Okay.
So Oluchi, I think that's the first 3 groups. So the first group, that's group 3, they haven't actually done their problem statement hasn't evolved. So they don't have anything. So by group 5 and group 4 and group 5 now. So just heard from Juliana and from Brandon. Just share their problem statement. As a whole, how do
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give my feedback in a bit. However, I will say well done for trying. For actually taking an attempt. Yeah, this stuff is not easy. It's not easy when you start it, right? But after a while, the more you do this on multiple projects and stuff, it becomes like riding a bike. So well done. Clearly, you guys have sat down and have looked into this. Okay, so I'm just going to pass the mic over to Goodness briefly for his thoughts before I give mine.
Okay. I will begin with group 4. And honestly, you guys are doing a great job so far, because if this is your first time doing this, then that is impressive. But like Oluchi said, these things, you become master of these things with very frequent practice, right? Nobody, I'm not sure anybody here expected to be professionals at carving out a problem statement the first time, but the fact that you're able to try means a lot. So I think that what jumped at me, and I'm going to be using jump a lot in this sentence, is that for group 4, I feel like your problem statement had very good numbers. I think that you should learn to use the power of numbers to drive home your point. Imagine you had 15 seconds, like Oluchi said, to communicate this to anybody, right? When you're telling anybody this thing, they have a mental picture of what they're trying to say. But when you tell them, oh, 60% of potential trade opportunities remain untapped, that becomes a whole whooping 60%. If you leave that person after that moment, what they remember is 60% deficit, right? And that 500K, and that we lose 500K in revenue annually. Those numbers immediately catches anybody's attention. So this is a big problem. Now you're at the phase of carving out your problem statement, right? What you want to communicate is how big the problem is, how important the problem is, right? And I feel like if you learn to use the power of numbers, you will be able to communicate and get through to anybody at any point in time, right? So imagine me saying, oh, we have a big problem in Africa. People are not able to move goods across internal Africa. And then, okay, I have the mental picture of, oh, yeah, that can be a problem. When I tell you that 60%, there's a 60% gap of like untapped market, that becomes a, oh, okay, moment for anybody that you tell. So that was my feedback to you. I get, when I heard you, I see that you're trying to make attempts to, frame all of these things into words. And, I know that you also have it written down. If you have it written down, it's different from if you're trying to present it to anybody, which is where I'm like, when you're trying to communicate the problem statement to anyone with the shortest possible time, maximize or use the power of numbers. It helps a lot. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I have not spent so much time on this. I think my second feedback was the problem statement trying to call out the government too much? This is a problem. Yes, I think an easy one would be, oh, if the government fixed all of these problems, yeah, everybody will be fine, and there'll be almost no problem. And I'm like, okay, maybe because I've not spent so much time on it, but I think that I'm not trying to think solution. I think that in crafting this thing, I think it should be. I think if you think about more of weak infrastructure generally, of course, government ultimately provides this, but also maybe speak to the weak partnerships, because today things move and people move things today within Africa and across Africa and across all the continents, right? Oh, what happens if is there a problem with how strong or how weak these partnerships are with entities within Africa and outside of Africa that makes this a big problem, right? So the government entities one, partnership with people who are already playing the game today could be another, right? And maybe if you diversify that problem, say, hey, even though there's infrastructure problem, there's also these other problems as well. Maybe that will make your problem statement stronger. So yeah, I just, from listening to the first time, I just felt like, oh, I'm trying to say something about the government. And yeah, just my thoughts. What's my feedback on that? Any questions?
Thank you, sir. I think I get your point, sir, because while we were working on this, I was like, this is really about calling the government so much. it's like calling the government too much, and then we didn't really look at that side of big partnership. But it is a lesson that we have learned. Thank you,
No,
sir.
that's fine. That's fine. You're doing a good job, and I know that it's tough. I have been there before, so yeah. But I also like the point you made earlier before this started, where you say you're leaning on other people. So sometimes you might be, and it makes sense because sometimes you are solving the problem so much, you are in the problem yourself, trying to put yourself in there. But when you talk to other people, they probably have more insight. Hey, have you thought about this angle? Right, which is why I like the point you made earlier, say you talk to other people and other teams, which is great.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
That's my feedback on for group 4. Oluchi, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. Are you able to mute your mic? You have some background noise coming from your side. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Jonah, I'm not able to. Okay, there you go. Right. So I agree with what Goodness has mentioned. I think some quick things to call out, and please, every other group, please take note. One of the first things that I look out for when I look at problem statements is an indication of just let me just see this now. These words have led to this. Okay. Right. So a good problem statement should never give an indication of why the thing has happened. It should always talk about everything else, but you don't want to call out why. And I think that, so when I was looking at your stuff and even just reading it again now, it's right there. So where you say intra-Africa trade have faced challenges due to poor logistics, inadequate infrastructure, and complex, you don't want to mention that. Here's why. It looks like a very subtle thing, but when you get into solutioning, you can easily get derailed, or rather, you can easily get biased into a particular direction. I give you an example. If you remember the example I gave on Saturday about headache, right? You go meet your doctor, and then you tell them that you have a headache. Typically, what you do with your doctor as a patient is that you give them your problem. Imagine telling your doctor, oh, I have headache at the left side of my head due to a particular food that I ate the other day that did not sit well in my stomach. Automatically, if the doctor is the solution provider, he's naturally going to get biased into trying to solve a food poisoning issue. But that's never how any of us go to our doctors. We literally just say our problem because you're the one who went to medical school, right? So figure out what my problem is. Figure out what the root cause of my problem is. So you would often say, I have headache. Where is it located? This left side of my head. How long has it been there? For the last six days, and it only comes up at 6 p.m. How has it been doing you? Right? How's it been affecting you? It's when it comes, my left eye gets shut, I can't see properly. And how much has this cost you? It's cost me a lot directly and indirectly. I've spent over $1,000 on medication, and indirectly I have missed side gigs worth $50,000 in the last 6 days. See, everything I just said is problem. I didn't give an indication of why I think this is happening. So you want to be very, very careful, right? When you write your problem statement. So when you have phrases like due to poor logistics infrastructure, inadequate infrastructure, and complex cross-border regulations, when you call it out in your problem, yes, I know in the challenge it was there, but when you call it out in your problem statement, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself. Focus on the problem. Yeah. Focus on the current state of the problem, the gap, and then the future state. And quantify, as Goodness said, as much as possible. That way you free yourself up to approach solving this from 100 different dimensions. Juliana, I don't know if you guys understand what I mean.
Yes, sir. I do. I understand. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So that is my first biggest tweak. So that whole first sentence, especially because it has a due to public, I really wouldn't hold on to it as part of the problem statement if I were you, because that limits you. That limits you. Where you want to be at is really from the second, right? Which is a current state. There are delays, increased operational costs, limited access to, yes, that whole piece. From that place onwards, that's the problem statement.
Okay.
Yeah. So how I would phrase it is who SMEs, African SMEs, face significant challenges when conducting intra-Africa trade that has led to significant, I'll just go straight to it, that have led to significant delays and I haven't said what the challenges are. I haven't said why those delays are happening and why this problem is happening. Stay away from why. Focus on what the problem is. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Right. And then the second feedback is the thing that Goodness had mentioned, right? As much as possible, quantify. I don't know what you mean by delays if I don't see numbers. I don't know what you mean by increased operational cost if I do not see numbers. I don't even know what the metric is to track limited access to markets. And for everybody, the reason why we put these numbers, it's not just to sound smart. From your problem statement alone, I should be able to see two things when it comes to numbers. Goodness said one of them, which is I should be able to see how big this problem is. And there are different metrics that show me how big it is. But the second thing I should be able to see is the numbers in themselves give me a sense of what success is. So the way I like to advise is if you read this problem statement and you not immediately point to, so if we create a solution, what is success? If you cannot make it as binary as possible, then your problem statement needs work. So for example, the headache I just told you, left side of my head comes at a certain time of the day. Now, if I just came and told you I have a headache, that's not going to help you very much. You might give me a drug that solves my headache, but you will never really solve my root cause. If I tell you that I have headache that comes at 6 p.m. and stays for about 12 hours, then now you know that you're giving me a drug that must eradicate that headache. If it eradicates it for just 4 out of the 12 hours, I have not succeeded. Now I have to give you a drug, or rather now you have to give me a drug that eradicates the headache for 12 hours. Now, what if I told you that I have headache that has been there for 12 hours and has been around for 9 days, and in those 9 days, I have directly lost $1,000 that I spent on medication, and I've also lost $50,000 on gigs. That means that if you give me a drug that solves my headache and eradicates it in 12 hours alone, you really haven't fully solved my problem. If that drug is $2,000. But if you give me that drug at $500 less than what I'm spending, then yes. But how about the $50,000 part of the problem? Oh, if you give me that drug at $500, and for some reason, I don't know, the drug also has steroids, where I'm now able to take on more gigs than I ever have, and I come back to you in 1 month's time and tell you, because of that drug, not only did my headache go, I also was super pumped that I could finish 3 gigs worth $150,000. Then you've truly solved my problem. This is the power of numbers in your problem statement. Every parameter you put should have a quantifiable metric. It's not just for English. So when you put there, has led to delays, my problem solving brain is thinking, okay, they want me to give them a solution that's going to turn around this thing. But what is success? How bad is the delay right now? Is it in minutes? Is it in hours? Is it in days? Is it in months? What exactly is the metric? When you say increase operational cost, by how many percent? So you're saying that 60% of the balance sheet of SMEs should not be there. It's there because of infrastructural barriers. What are you saying? In which case, if I bring a solution, I'm going to be checking, have I helped people save 60% of their cost? It's not guesswork. If you say limited access to market, what does that mean? Are you saying that most of the SMEs cannot even trade outside of that, so they can only do one country trade or inter-country trade? Or are you saying that, so what exactly is the metric there? If you do not have a metric, then you take it out. If you cannot think of a quantifiable metric, take out the point. Does that make sense?
It does make sense,
Jonah,
sir.
from, I don't know if this was in the video that they watched, but from the recording, from the slide. Cool, Juliana. Juliana, from the slide, can you show the slide on problem statements? I think it was in the recording, the example from TNN.
From the discipline entrepreneurship.
Do you have that slide?
So I didn't get it clearly. Yeah.
No, I'm speaking to Jonah. Jonah, are you there? I'm not sure
Yes.
if Jonah is there. Okay, I thought you had the slides open. It's a slide. It's slide 63.
Did this?
Is it me that cannot see Jonah's screen? Oh my gosh, I cannot even see your screen. I guess. Hey, Jonah, can you pin your screen? Or is it? Hello.
I'll check. Can you see it now?
I cannot see your screen, Jonah.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, I think it's loading now. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, it's loading now.
okay.
Okay. You guys can see the screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this is just a snapshot. I think that it was in the video. I'm not sure which version of the video I shared, but we often use this example. By the way, it's from a real project we had worked on a few years ago. Just changed the name of the of the company. It was an NGO that we support in Zimbabwe, and so this is a real thing. We had to craft out this problem statement because we're trying to do a bit of growth hacking for them, right? But this is exactly what we're talking about. It still follows the structure in your slide, right? In the presentation you guys wrote, you guys watched, where the problem statement has to have current state, the gap, the future state, right? At the high level. And then at the same time, it needs to be able to touch all those things. So what is the issue? When has it been occurring? And how, and all of that stuff. But as Goodness said, quantify as much as possible. So when you read this problem statement, in the last year, TNN has experienced sluggish growth of negative 0.93% month on month, leading to an annual sales of just $750 and potential losses of over 160K. Future state, they need to achieve a sales revenue of this by the end of that, which is a 16x, which is 16 times their year one sales. When you read this, your innovation brain, I imagine, already starts going like, oh my God, this is a massive problem. Just like Goodness said. What kind of strategies am I going to bring to make this company grow by 16x? That's the key takeaway here. But you see how it is not subjective, it is not buried in English. There really is no metric here that is just qualitative. So that's, for me, that's my biggest feedback first to Juliana's team, right? At least you guys tried, you put in some numbers here and there. My point is go all the way. For the second team, I didn't see numbers at all. So I think for me, for the second, you do need to go back to the drawing board and take a strong stab at that. Didn't see numbers at all. It was quite lengthy with a lot of synonyms. Focus on the metrics with the numbers. Yeah, Goodness, you want to say something?
Yeah, obviously. I also noted that because my feedback for them that I written down was, how do we measure success for group 5? Like, I see the attempt to try to describe it, but how do we measure success? I could not see, like, okay, if we solve this problem, like, what happens? I did not see that in the problem statement, and that was one of my feedback for them. I also could not see that how big the problem is in terms of like quantifiable numbers. Like, what does this mean? If this, you're trying to do this project, but if this is just going to take 0.01% of all the problems that I have, it's probably not worth solving for me. So those are my two feedback for group 5, and I think I resonate with that.
Absolutely spot on. The other thing, thanks, Goodness. The other thing for group 5 is that group 5, you didn't really follow the structure from what was given in the presentation. Jonah, if you can go back to your slide, please. The one where you're showing TNN, you go back one slide. You want to, I know this feels very much like an academic exercise. Like, do people really approach problem solving and businesses from this approach? Just bear with us for this bootcamp, right? Master this structure, master this thing, and you'll see how much of a difference it will make out there in the world. These frameworks are giving to you, for the most part, not as a very, very, very strong recommendation, right? So you want to use it, you want to exercise the muscle. This framework here was part of, I'm certain if it's the video that I think it is that you guys got, then you definitely got work, right? You got, it's a high level snapshot of what a current state, or what a problem statement should capture. At the highest level, it should always give an indication of the current state, an indication of what the gap is now, and an indication of future states where people want to be at. I didn't see that structure come through in group 5's problem statement. And then at the lower level, so that's at the 50,000 feet, at the 10,000 feet, in terms of the wording, publish it with, again, details of the gap, time frame, location, trend, impact, importance, all of that stuff. And then on top of that, what Goodness said, you make all of that quantifiable. When you do that, you will have a strong problem statement. So in group 5 stuff, Jonah, if you can please go back there. When I saw that problem statement, my brain is thinking, from this image you're looking at on the slide, I'm trying to ascertain where's the current state, what's the gap, what's the future state that people are aspiring to get to. And then where are all the extra information about, how long this has been happening, what locations are we talking, what trends are we talking about that are important, what's been the impact of this problem, quantifying the gap. I didn't see any of this here. So this problem statement needs significant rework. Yeah, underserved low communities face limited access to electricity due to absence. Again, that's the thing about due to. You're putting in the why, same feedback as the other group. Stay away from why. Due to the absence of affordable, scalable financial solutions and efficient distribution models, stay away from it. All of that, not relevant. This creates a resilient and expensive and sustainable and hindering economic. All of that is great. Again, current state, future state. What's the current state gap, future state? Right? Call that out. What is the current state? What is the gap? What's the future state? And then every other thing in between that you can quantify. It just gives context. Group 5, please, is that clear? Hello. Group 5. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes,
hello,
sir.
hello,
Yes.
hello. Okay, do you guys have any questions on this, Brandon?
No, sir. No questions.
No questions? Juliana has a question.
Yes, sir. So I noticed that the problem definition that was given to us has the why there. It talks about the barrier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's where my problem started from. I was
Yeah,
focusing on that.
Yeah. That's you notice we did not call it a problem statement. We said we gave you a challenge.
Yes.
We didn't say we gave you a problem statement. It was your job to come up with a problem statement, and then we gave you a framework to use for the problem statement. And the slide Jonah just showed had nothing about the why in there.
Okay. That's
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you, sir.
And thanks for that observation, Juliana. One of the things you're going to find out in this line of work is that what Juliana just said is your everyday. Oh, goodness, can you please share how many times, right, over the years we're doing projects, you're talking to your client? That first, even right now when you work in the US, right? You're talking to a client or even your bosses at the office. What you're going to find out is that normal human beings don't reason this way. When they come and tell you their problem, they often will be telling you their problem as well as their hypothesis of why they think they don't realize the hypothesis. They will tell you the problem, why they think the problem exists, and which person in their family is responsible for their headache and all of that. Normal human beings don't just come and tell you, I have a headache. It's been affecting me, blah, 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 blah. No. Normal human beings come and say, I have a headache this side of my head, but I think it is because of that, my younger sister. The way she was screaming yesterday, I just knew. Come on. This is the real world. That's why we call it a challenge, right? You will always get the problem, and inside there will be many different things about why they think it exists, and it's a lot of noise. And so the challenge of a problem solver is listening, right? Goodness.
Yeah.
Any sort
Absolutely.
of stories on that?
Not directly. Not directly, but let me just say this. I think that you get your point, and this
22
is from
hours.
my past job, even at VGG, where business leaders come to meet you and with the problem and what they think the solution is. And even customers do that. They give you a problem and and the solution. And if you don't follow this methodology, you will, for the most part, be tempted to begin to think in that direction, right? Before you now say, "Oh, I think we're solving for the wrong problem." And what happens is that you spend time, you spend money, you spend resources going in a particular hole, and you have to be the one telling the customer, "But you should have told me this." The customer will not start telling you, "But I'm paying you to get this." In order to avoid all of these things, you need to be able to abstract what the customer is saying and what the customer is not saying. And for the most part, the customers always think that they know what that they know what the problem is. They think that what they're telling you is the problem. It's your job to just take all that feedback and then decipher them. But if you don't have a feedback, if you don't have a framework that you use to decipher what the customer thinks the problem is and what the customer's actual problem is, you'll be solving for the wrong problem. Yeah. Solving for the wrong problem.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for that, Goodness. You just reminded me in 2019, I led a team on a consulting project turnaround for a power sector company, and we worked nonstop for 9 weeks. Well, it was 7 weeks first, including Saturdays, Sundays. Nobody went home. It was an incredible amount of information data we had to shut down in that company. We had to shut down. I had to cut down 49 projects that were ongoing to 20 and just 5 products, right? The company had 20 plus products they built at, limited down to 5 in 7 weeks and do a turnaround strategy. And in that time, after doing all of that work, we had a chance to present to the CFO our deck. We had a 60-something page slide presented to her, and all I was here was, this one irrelevant. Guys, you know how many slides were left? 2. Out of 67, I almost died. Out of 67, 2. And I was arguing with her. No, my whole team was demoralized. I was like, no, this one. And then I'm like, but we've been at this for 7 weeks. And she said, I've been wondering what you all have been doing for the last 7 weeks.
Exactly. That is what happened.
Yeah.
It's a fight with the customer. Like, I said this,
Yeah.
I said this.
It was ridiculous. So I had to dismiss the team and everyone just take the day off. And I went back home. And the only thing that saved me was this framework. Because I went back home and I had been documenting what I heard in the first interview when this project was given to me, what I wrote as the first problem statement. And as I was getting information about the company, I was tweaking my problem statement. I could see my second version, my third version. So I went back. I had 9 versions. And I said, where did I miss this? And then I realized, no, it wasn't me. It was the fact that there was a version of the problem statement I didn't have, which she had in her head. And that version had happened in the middle of those 7 weeks. They had spoken to investors and the problem had changed. And unfortunately, I didn't know what the new problem statement was. I ended up spending weeks working on something else that was not the board's priorities. If you're on this kind of project and you're being paid time and money, this exercise here can really cost you. Juliana and team, I hope this is clear.
Absolutely. Very clear.
Yes, sir.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much, sir.
I apologize again in advance. We're not just trying to stress y'all. Like I said on Saturday, as an innovator, if you have 5 days to chop down a tree, it's okay to spend 4 days sharpening your axe, i.e. your understanding of the problem. So it's okay. Please let's go back and work on it. Good 5s. Can we get group 6? Jonah, group 6.
Yes, group 6. Please go ahead.
Yep. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Danny Dave. I would be presenting for group 6. So problem description stated that intracity transport for low-income earners is unreliable, uncomfortable, and expensive, with over 60% of urban commuters spending more than 30% of their income on transport. Okay, so to be fair, we have refined it on this side based on the feedback we just got. So I won't act like we had this all written down before.
Very sharp guy.
So yeah, so 60% of low-income urban commuters in Nigeria face a 30% increase in the transport cost, with monthly expenses averaging 100,000 naira. Additionally, over 40% of the transport system operates with delays exceeding 30 minutes, contributing to an annual productivity loss estimated at 500 billion naira nationwide. To address this, the transport ecosystem must reduce delays by 20%, lower costs by 10%, and increase commuter satisfaction by 80% by 2025. So
The end. Group 6 has graduated from the boot camp. Jonah, can we do a graduation ceremony? There's no need for anything else. even though we
Oh
know
my
you
God.
took this on the call, can everybody just give group 6 thumbs up? And then goodness, you can go.
I think that starting before you finished, I was like, yeah, okay. This is a big problem because as you were saying it, as you were reading through, and this could be whether you're reading someone is reading this, or you are telling someone in a form of conversation. Um, um, Whoever you're telling is able to pick their part of the part that impacts them the most. So, for example, if I'm the governor of Lagos State or the president of Nigeria, I am seeing that we are losing the productivity estimated at 500 billion naira. It's like, wow, we are really not very productive. Okay, what can we do to plug? This is huge, right? If I am a young startup guy, I'm thinking of a mobile app to use. I'm already thinking, oh, this is a problem at this level, but I'm not thinking about this. If I am a startup guy, no, the first startup guy instance is thinking if I'm a startup guy, I want to start like a ride sharing app or whatever. I can pick whatever my own platform, whatever you said. If I am another startup guy trying to work on HR solutions, I'm already thinking, oh, people spend so much money, average expenses. How can I work with HR to help them? I'm already seeing a lot of possibilities. It's like opening up that for me, just listening to you. And I feel like that is what anyone listening to you wants to get, what you tell them, what the problem of anything is. So yeah, this is great. This is great. However, we have said that we wanted you to put in numbers. Is there a way where you don't overkill with numbers at the same time, right? This is great. But is there a way where you don't overkill with numbers? Because this is like you just throwing a lot of darts at me, like, okay, calm down, easy. Allow me breathe. But I think that this is really a very excellent attempt at crafting a problem statement, and I was able to completely understand what you were trying to say. Well done.
All right.
Oluchi, over to
Thanks.
you.
Thanks a lot for that. Goodness. Goodness said, let me breathe. Love it. Absolutely. I'm just going to pick one thing that he mentioned. And again, this is to everyone, right? One of the signs that you've crafted your problem statement well is when anyone reading it, yourself inclusive, just by reading the problem statement, your mind is already thinking about solutions, right? What we call those solutions, if you listened to our conversations last week, are hypotheses. So in Goodness's speech right now, he has at least 3 hypotheses of what can solve this thing, whether coming at it from a policy point of view, right, building something that will empower the government to crack this problem, or coming at it from a startup guy's point of view, from an app perspective, whatever. These are all hypotheses of what. So we're not yet in the bootcamp of solutioning, designing, and you'd see how this problem statement forms the basis of the designs you're going to build. But right now, just by looking at this, it's natural for your brain to already start thinking of, oh my goodness, I can attack this from anywhere. So that's one of the litmus tests. Again, group 5. If you read that thing that you've written and you're not already thinking about solutioning, also you give it to someone, give it to your sister, give it to your mom. If your mom cannot do or say what Goodness just said, you need to go back and write the problem statement again. One other thing to point out, again, from a solutioning point of view, I think I like the fact that your team took a stab at giving the macro number. Again, in the design bootcamp, you're going to learn a bit about macro analysis, how you look at problems, not only from the perspective, in this bootcamp, you're heavily focused on the individual and their customer journey and stuff. For your discipline entrepreneurship, you've done a bit of market sizing to find out how many individuals are out there. So you know how to calculate the total market size. But what we're going to do in that other bootcamp is look more into macro trends. And I see an interesting indication here that 500 billion number is really a macro thing. It's a market sizing thing. It's saying that the market for anybody, so the size of this pain is 500 billion. So anyone who solves it 100% is 500 billionaire richer. Literally, that's how my brain interprets it. And so as a startup guy, these are the kind of problems we look out for. Because then what we now put in that deck to go and raise investment is, oh, this is a 500 billion naira problem. We think we can capture 10% of that value within the next 12 months. So we think we can bring in a solution that is going to at least, even if it doesn't solve 500 billion in 12 months, it is going to solve 50 billion of it. And here's how we're going to do it. That would be my entire pitch from a solutioning point of view. But you see how I'm thinking that way because you've called out that macro number. So the previous two groups, Juliana and Co, also think in this direction as well. Yeah, you want to put numbers and stuff, but as much as possible, you want to be able to show us a glimpse of how large this thing is. Any number that shows how large this is as a macro, it's good. Put it in there so that it will scare you. Okay, it will scare you and motivate you at the same time.
Yeah, I think the motivation aspect is also very critical because it now begins to help you see limitless solutions. Now, all of a sudden, you're not thinking about one type of solution. You're now like, okay, that's what, like 1 billion solutions possible.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to solve a 500 billion problem by building an app alone, right? You're going to have to take a stab at it from so many different directions. Absolutely. So thanks a lot, group 6. Well done. Minor fine tuning here and there. What's the other group? Jonah?
Hello, this
Hello,
time
sir.
we take group 1 and group 2 at the same time. So you guys can
Sure.
do it.
Sure, let's take one. Yeah.
While they're trying to get that, I just wanted to ask, did you share resources with these guys on, like, so in my mind I'm thinking of, I learned a lot when I watch shows like Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, and this ultimate version for the Nigerian audience. Are you guys watching stuff like that? These are things you can watch when you're having lunch, having dinner, just trying to have breakfast or whatever, right? And just gives an idea on how to present in a way that anybody understands what you're trying to say. But I know that might be at the pitching side. I don't know. Just asking.
Thanks a lot for that. Goodness. Short answer is not yet. It is in the pipeline. It's in the toolkit for the next bootcamp when we enter the designing phase.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. That's fine.
Longer answer. They've had access on the LMS system to discipline entrepreneurship from Bill All at MIT. And so he goes through all of the steps with examples of projects and like real life people from ex-MIT alumni coming to pitch different things.
Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to.
That's the closest we've got. Yeah. But I hear you absolutely. It helps to watch a bit of Shark Tank.
Yes, sir.
So sorry for
Yes, Ahmed. Please go ahead.
good evening. So sorry for the delays behind everything. Nothing is actually enough to justify the whole delays and silence, but we'll try to make it count. So what we identified, our challenge directly related to healthcare, and healthcare specifically looking at mortality rates, looking at Nigeria as a third world country specifically. And these challenges presented in problem description are actually, challenges that we here in Nigeria actually relate to it, because there's no way that we are going to say that you've not gone to the hospital before and then you've not had a situation whereby you had such inefficiencies related to infrastructure, personnel, and poor service delivery and all of that. So the impact has that it's increased mortality rates, people die, and we also, looking at the statistics, it's actually a very big problem. So I and the team, we came out we brainstormed over this and tried to look at it from a point of view whereby you have a woman that is, pregnant, trying to give birth, which we know that Nigeria, by 2050, Nigeria will be like the top 5 countries as regards to population. So that is to say that there is a market for anything that the population.
Sorry to jump in. Also, just being very mindful of time. Love the background and the context, but really want to know what's the challenge you were given and what is your problem statement in 15 seconds.
Okay, so
Thanks.
now the challenge is healthcare related challenges that has to do with to reduce mortality rates basically, and that's just the major challenge. And the problem statement has to do with what are we providing that is going to reduce the mortality rates.
I think.
Yeah. So where's the problem statement?
I think from what I can see, I don't think it's on the board here, so we'll just skip it to group 2.
Oh, okay. So Ahmed, do you guys have a problem statement drafted? Something close to? Do you have it drafted on the board? Is it on a sticky note? Can we display it? Hello, sir. Are you there?
Unfortunately, we just brainstormed over it. Sad to say that we don't have it here, but yeah, we just brainstormed over it.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. So we'll be skipping that, but I hope that you guys have gotten the feedback that we've given to the other teams, so that you can craft something that's proper. Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, sir. And the final group.
I like the name already.
Okay, good evening, sirs.
Here.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good morning.
Okay. My apologies. Nigeria is happening to me here. I don't have light, so I can't work from my system, and I'm using my phone. So I'll just do like a summary. I don't have everything on ground here. Our challenge was the challenges SMEs faced in Africa when doing global transaction, and we're told that 80% of African SMEs don't have access to do business at the global level, and the global market is about $32 trillion, and Africa can only do 3%, which is about $930 billion. So from the feedback that has been given so far, I think we need to go and rework on our refined problem statements, because we were able to pick out like some industries, manufacturing, agriculture, and tech that could help boost the global trade for Africa. But we need to go back and work on it. I think we have too much talk and actually not much numbers. So we'll go back and work on that. Thank you.
I mean, when you mention industries that could help boost, I hope you're not falling into the solutioning trap of that we're
Mindset,
talking about things,
exactly.
right? Yeah. Don't get into solutioning. You're just trying to craft what the problem is. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, to the guys that were able to skip, the goal is not for you to be perfect the first time. The goal is for you to come up with something. Every time you come up with something wrong, it's strengthening your mental muscle to do things better the next time. But if you are waiting for when you be perfect, those muscles will never be built. They'll never be like strong. So yeah, I hear you, but for me, I want to see what you have right now.
Yeah.
It's on the screen there.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm looking through now. Okay. I feel like from what I see, I have a clear idea of what this is, right? But for some reason, like, hey, only 3%, that's a big, huge problem. I get that part. I don't feel that problem with the way it is right now. It doesn't feel personal enough. I feel so overwhelmed that I'm not seeing. I don't get it, because this has been something that's been on everybody's mind. Everybody kind of just knows that Africa is not there yet, but that for this problem is not making it hit home a little more. I feel like if you better work on it, all the feedback that you have, maybe we'll get to the point where you see the future part of this framework that Olichi just shared could now make people start thinking, oh, okay, we can actually do something, right? So we know what the gap is, we know what the current situation is, but maybe if you have a very strong current future state, future component will be maybe to help bring this home more. But I kind of fairly understand what the problem is.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well done. Oluchi, you asked for personal experience the first time, and this is just a very short explanation. I shared this with you the last time. I shared it with you when it happened, but let me share with everyone. So I was on this project in Ghana for a Ghana client one time in my company, and then so the way my company is structured, we have like the CEO, we have different what we call lines of businesses, and then each line of business has a general manager reported to what. So I was working on this project within this team, and then I was home in Nigeria at the time, and I was in the restroom. I told you this already. I was in the restroom, and I think as I came out of the restroom about to wash my hands, I met my CEO for me in the restroom. And guess what? Guess what the question was? Oh, so tell me what's happening on the project, on the Ghana project. And boom, all the time I had to catch him up to speed was the time he had to rinse his hand or wash his hand. Right. So if you're working on something for several months and all the time you have with your CEO is the only time he has to wash his hand and it needs to be cut off, what are you going to say? Right. So this kind of thing yeah, this kind of exercise helps you prepare for moments like that. And I was like, okay, this is what Oluchi has been saying. This is what we have been practicing. This is what we have been all this while. And I was able to provide him an update where we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. And so two things that I think that you will get to know, that two litmuses, if that's a word, that that will help you know whether or not your feedback is great, will be one. If I mean, of course, sometimes facially, where you feel like, these people really kind of understand what I'm trying to say. And number two, when people ask you follow-up questions, right? Whenever you share these things and people start asking, oh, so what do you think about this? Oh, so what happens to this one? Okay, then you know that you struck a chord in people that triggers them to start thinking why. But when you say all of this, that's as if you pull up whatever group 6 pull up and boom, and you just said, okay, that's a problem. Because like we said earlier, when people hear your problem statement, it should trigger a lot of things in their head. Oh, okay, right, boom. And of course, at that point, depending on what the situation is, you can navigate your way. But typically, a proper problem statement helps people start thinking and start having questions for you. Is that okay?
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks a lot for that goodness. And next time, well, I suppose you were much younger then. Now you're a senior man, so the next time someone asks you that kind of question in the toilet while you're washing your hands, just tell them, I'm going to brief you when we get back to the office. Can I please wash my hand in peace?
I know. I know. It was like I read of a story of a guy who works for Tesla, and then he met Elon Musk in the restroom, and the guy just froze. The guy just froze. Imagine meeting your boss, the CEO of the entire company in the restroom, like, okay, and your junior staff. So yeah, that was my situation then.
Absolutely. Thanks, goodness. So for Bara, everything he said and the feedback of before, starting with your first line, due to combination, please take it out, right? Should never have whys in your problem statement. When I read that sentence, I'm already biased, right? I'm already thinking, oh, then that means this is a knowledge play. Like there's no business here. Just go do a mass sensitization campaign to give knowledge on international trade. Like that's what you've done with that sentence. You've limited your stuff down to either a knowledge play of trade regulations or stimulating logistics, logitech businesses. That's your second phrase there, right? Or going to lobby policymakers to reduce transaction fees, or financial services providers to reduce transaction fee. You see how each of those has biased me into three different solutions. So you need to take it out. Yeah. Other piece is everything, goodness has said, and you've pointed out the numbers are not here, but even at the high level, current state, gap, future state, and then numbers sprinkled in between. I like how you try to do future state, African and SMEs could significantly enhance their competitiveness. You say you're showing me what can be in the future. It's like you're teasing us. You're telling us that there's potential we can enhance and contribute substantially to the global league. Telling me enhance my competitiveness. Like, what exactly is the metric? What's the target here? Contribute substantially to the global economy. By how much? When you were talking about challenge, you mentioned how many $1 trillion economy. So how much is Africa going to contribute to that, and by when? If you add some of these things inside there, like the one I just said now, I think you would end up creating that sense of urgency that Goodness was talking about. Yeah. Now,
Yes,
on this note, I think the feedback generally is for all teams. My general take is that a bit of work needs to be done for for the 2 or 3 groups who didn't get to work on this, I would like to encourage you to pause on your personas and customer journey map and work on this. I don't know if you've noticed, but for the people who actually took a stab at it, and we've given feedback to on this call, so the Days and Diana and Paul, I don't know if you've noticed, but just crystallizing this, it does have massive implications, first and foremost, for the kind of personas and segmentation that you do. It has massive implications on the personas that you land on. I don't know if you guys notice. And if it has implications on the personas that you land on, it will have implication on the journey you are building out for that persona. Because this is the problem that you're saying a persona X is currently experiencing, or personas X and Y. So you cannot successfully map out customer journeys for a persona whose problem you don't understand. That's why this here is not a nice to have activity. It is the bedrock of the work that you guys are doing the last few days. And that is the reason why we asked for you to bring it out here and not have us look at your persona and your customer journey. I really don't need to look at those things. If you get it right here, so like the Days problem statement, I am somewhat confident that when they sit down to relook at their segmentation based on how you learned it and to get the ICP, the ideal customer persona, I'm somewhat confident that you land on an interesting set of beachhead market from that problem statement alone. So please, let's use that. Let's go back to this problem statement and spend a bit of time in it. The persona, the customer journey will be a lot more straightforward and a lot faster when you do this. The goodness, I think you want to add to that.
Oh no, nothing. That was great. I think that I feel like they're doing a great job so far. But I want to say, because I've been there before, don't give up because you didn't get it right the first time. Keep practicing, keep trying, keep making the mistakes, and keep getting the feedback, because that is what actually makes you stronger. In the next few weeks, you would look back and feel like, oh, my first problem statement was trash. But now you will see the gap and you see how far you've grown if you don't stop practicing and working on it and everything. So don't get intimidated. Don't get tired. Just keep pushing. You're doing great.
All right. Thank you so much, goodness. And I see the problem statement pasted in the chat for group 3. Much better, group 3. Thanks, Ebenezer. Along those lines, Jonah, I think our job here is done, right? That's the direction we need you guys to go. Yeah.
Yeah. But just something to note, Oluchem, probably is there a word where from that statement you can already start seeing solution already, in the sense of not just stating the general value that can be gotten from waste, but when you start heading to, you're already talking about waste to electricity. So there's already a bias towards maybe the solution in being, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, thanks for calling that out. So this is the other side of the bias, right? And I think goodness had pointed this out. So one side of the bias is where you're saying why the problem is happening, right? Which we said we should stay away from. The other side is where you're sort of hinting what a possible solution can be inside your problem statement as well. Yeah. If it is, I can see that your team was trying to do the future state thing. Right. In the process of speaking about the future state, you ended up talking about the future state if the waste is being used for electricity. you were not talking about the future state if the 125 million tons of waste which was to be eradicated. Those two things are not the same, because I can work on the 125 million tons of waste problem and never have to use it for electricity. With this statement here, you've biased yourself into a waste to electricity problem. Meanwhile, I could take the 125 million tons of waste and pack them into an incinerator. I could take it and put it into, I don't know, yeah, right? Heck, I could just take it and go and bury it in the ground under Dane's house. Voila, 125 million has disappeared, right? It can go into fertilizer, it can go into all kinds of things. And some of you on this call that know me, you know that this is where I started my career from. I did a fair amount of waste to energy. So I'm trying my best to not bias you with the 100,000 things that you can do with waste that is not electricity. Right? So yeah, stay away from, and to all the groups, stay away from biasing yourself down a rabbit hole in terms of a direction of solution. Right? You can still talk future states of dealing with the problem. Right? You don't have to give a specific use case. I guess that's it. So good call out, Jonah.
Okay, thank you very much, Oluchi. Maggie has a question. Maggie, take one question and then we close. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. My question is, you said we shouldn't call. Is it just for the problem statement or also the customer journey? Because I remember one of the
What's the question?
Sir?
So I didn't get the question. What was the question?
Okay, my question is not calling out the solution or hinting the solution. Is it just for the problem statement or is it for the entire work that we did? Because in the customer journey, we were asked, or at each stage, we were asked opportunities, what can be done at those stages, and we put in a kind of solution. Is that okay too?
Thank you for that, Maggie. Good call out. There's a reason why this bootcamp was called Problem Validation Bootcamp. And if you remember, I think it was my first or second sessions, I said you're going to struggle with this a lot. You're going to struggle with constantly going into solutioning. The answer is don't do it. The answer is don't do it. This entire bootcamp we're just giving you a lot of frameworks to help you further deepen your understanding of the problem. That whole customer journey. Spoiler alert, you're going to do the customer journey map again in a future bootcamp for design. And that time, you will talk about solutioning a lot. This particular one is to really look at the journey your customer is currently going on in their current state. You're looking at the journey they go on, the buyer journey, they use whatever it is they're using today. Right? You're looking at their jobs to be done across each of those phases. You're looking at the pain that they feel today across each of those phases, and consequently opportunities for innovation. It is called opportunities for innovation. It is not necessarily called solutions. So what does that mean? If I say, again, I always bring it back to my headache. If I say that I have headache, it's been at this side of my head, and it comes by 6 p.m. It's been there for the last 90 days and has cost me directly $1,000 in terms of drugs and $50,000 of missed opportunities. If that is my current state, then you, as the innovator listening to me, what are some of the opportunities for innovation that you're hearing here? What you're hearing is an opportunity to bring something, anything, you don't know what the thing is, something X, right? That one opportunity is the X must eliminate must must be able to give me value, must be given to me at less than $1,000 a piece. Do you see? That is an example of the X of what a solution is. I don't know what the solution, but that's an opportunity for innovation. Another opportunity for innovation is the total solution with Oluchi must also be able to help him recover the $50,000 of lost projects that he has lost. That's another opportunity for innovation. You don't know what the solution is in this bootcamp, but you see that opportunity. But you see, with what I just said, if you're thinking ahead, you can already see that if I'm going to give Oluchi a solution for this other opportunity, this $50,000 opportunity, that's not just a peel. Maybe it's that we're bundling a peel. We're saying, Oluchi, here's the peel. It's going to solve most of your issues, but for this $50,000 problem, we are partner. We're going to help you establish a partnership with some of the startups in my friend's incubator. There are 10 of them that need your consulting services. All together, they will pay $5,000 each. So by taking our peel, you also have access to these companies, and we're solving your 50. Do you see how I came to you with a headache, and by telling you the different areas and impact this headache has given me, you as an innovator were listening to each of them step by step and seeing opportunities for innovation. But with those, or your understanding of opportunities, you're able to craft a solution that might not just be one app or one pill. It might be a suit, right? The solution might be a consortium of things, provided it tackles all the different aspects of my pain, or put another way, all the different opportunities to deliver value. So what we asked you to put at the bottom of your customer journey map is not solution, is based on your understanding of the journey, the jobs to be done, the pain in each of those stages. What are the opportunities you're seeing there? The opportunities to deliver. You don't know what the solution will be in each of those buckets, but you can articulate the opportunities. Maggie, does that help?
Yes, I will understood. Thank you.
All right, awesome. You guys are going to struggle a lot. Problem statement, and then what Maggie just asked. You're going to struggle a lot with certain biases. The biggest one is you're going to constantly be thinking about solutioning. As you're filling out those templates, please don't do it. You're going to have a lot of time in the future bootcamp you're going to get tired of solutioning in a couple of weeks. Don't do it. This bootcamp is just you really understanding the problem. And when anyone in your team is already going faster than the gun, bring them back, right? That said, so the next piece of work, first of all, please advise, we don't micromanage you guys. You all are super busy people, right? Please self-organize and close out your problem statements and consequently your customer journey map and the other piece, right? Because you're getting an assignment today. And that assignment is that the templates are there for you. Jonah's going to share, video recording. Because of the limited time we have with you guys, we've had to codify and record a number of things. So please make our time to watch those. However, that's primarily focused on the last piece from this bootcamp, and that is you crafting you getting ready for customer interviews. So that's everything from understanding how to make contact with these people, number one. Number two, understanding how to go from your customer journey map and all those your insights to actually creating intelligent questions that you will then disseminate to the public. While it sounds very simple and very straightforward, like I said last week, and as Maggie has just shown, it needs a bit of intentionality, because what you have to do is look at your customer journey map, look at your lean canvas. The video will also show you how to fill up the lean canvas very briefly. It's not a big deal, it's a 5 minutes activity. But basically look at your understanding of the problem right now. And you're going to have to craft out questions according to your customer journey. So according to your buyer journey, in each stage of your buyer journey, you know the pain. What you're trying to do is validate that what you people have put in your stuff is real. Right now, it's coming from brainstorming and some bit of research. What you're putting in your customer journey map, you need to go out into the world, talk to real human beings, and validate each of those points through questions. So there's a whole video of how to craft those questions. There's a whole video of how to craft them and how to design pass or fail experiments. So let me give you an example. The person who, I don't know which problem statement it was, the person who said that businesses are facing, I don't know how many percent, 60% bump in operational cost, right? You would craft a question to test that. You will tell yourself that if I give for this question, sure, goodness, let me just pause here. Goodness Adewale, any last words for the team before you drop off?
Oh no. If I think that I'm open to attend more sessions, even if I will not be a panelist or on any of them, just to listen to them to see how this is progressing. So please fill me in if the opportunity arise. It was time. It was good spending some time with you and your team. Thank you for having me.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Goodness. We really, really appreciate you making our time. Always a pleasure. By the way, what time is it at your end?
This is 11:47 a.m., almost noon. I have a meeting by noon, and I need to prepare for that.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good rest.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're going to craft these questions. You're going to have entire surveys done. At the high level, and I know Jonah is going to give more information on this, at the high level, the goal is that we expect that you guys will engage real human beings with those surveys in 2 ways. The first way is get people to fill out the surveys. So feel free to post on your social media, wherever you think the community of your persona, so the personas you've identified, wherever you think they hang out, please go and give them the surveys, right? Whatever you want to do, up to you. So that's one way. That's one, not one way. That is one of the channels we expect you to use, surveys. The second is interviews. You'd have to take those same questions, but now instead of giving it to human beings, you would have it on your side while you're having conversations, actual interviews with human beings. The reason we bundle these 2 things in the problem validation phase is because surveys can give you some good insights. However, they don't do a very good job in giving you context. But interviews, where you're asking somebody a question and you're filling out a multiple choice on their behalf, but they're also explaining why they chose those multiple choice, that particular response really helps you with context. So the expectation is that you would create your problem validation questions. The expectation is that you will identify and engage a whole chunk of people. And then the expectation is that after you've engaged them through surveys and interviews, you will synthesize the responses in a report. All of that are in resources and videos that will be shared with you ASAP, right after this. In terms of numbers, we typically love to, or 2 key things to mention. We typically love to say that in terms of surveys, anything short of for this cohort here, anything short of about 100 responses, not good enough. So please target to get at least 100 responses from your surveys. There are at least in every group, I think it was only one group that I saw at some point was struggling with 3 people, right? There are at least 4 people in every group. So surely you can get at least 25 to 30 responses each for your surveys. Who are going to be the best people to respond to your surveys? We'll leave that to you, because it's part of the work you're doing to identify your personas, figure out who's the best person to give you who's the best archetype, customer archetype, to give you the kind of responses that you need. So that is one side. In terms of interviews, we're very okay with you coming anywhere between 10 to 15 interviews. So what that means is that we expect that at least you get 100 respondents to your surveys, and you will get at least 10 to 15 interviews done. I'm going to pause here. Questions? Yes, Fubara.
Okay, I really don't have a question. It's just that we are just 2 of us in our group. Abayomi at a point was not responding anymore. So it's just me and Oluwa Mayoku. I hope I'm correct with her name. Just the 2 of us in our group.
Thanks for that, Fubara. I think that's a statement for Jonah. Maybe you guys should sync up with Jonah after this and decide on the way forward. Yeah, Jonah?
Yes, I'll have a conversation with them. That likely. Yeah, we'll have a conversation.
Okay. So we are not going to have this session again, right? This from this bootcamp perspective. So this part of the assignment, you're getting the video. You're going to have to work on it. Jonah will give the timelines on when we expect to get your draft questions, right? And what we want to see before everyone signs off, for the Christmas holiday, we want to see a world where we've received your first draft, and our team can work with your team, with your team, on at times that work for you to tweak those questions. So don't worry, you're going to get support, right? So we'll work with you to tweak those questions to help you, to work with you to refine it, so that as you go into the holiday, we're launching you into the world. Go and engage people, right? Go and engage people towards the end of the year. Go and engage people for the first 1 to 2 weeks of the new year. So when we come for our next bootcamp, you're coming with rich insights from your customer engagement, both in terms of surveys and in terms of interviews. Is that clear, please?
That's
Okay.
clear.
All right. Awesome. This is always the interesting part. when you go meet real human beings. Spoiler alert, last when we did this last year, I remember, Jonah, do you remember there was one team that after they had the first few interviews, and everybody was asking them, what are you actually saying? What are you trying to ask? They went back and started reworking their questions themselves. They didn't even have to book our time. They went back, reworked their problem statements, customer journey map, and reworked their questions, because real human beings out there could not understand what the heck they were saying. So I always look forward to this part.
Yeah. So there was people who didn't have medical practitioners, but they need to quit the idea. So same thing. You might not be lucky that you have somebody who you can just spend 30 minutes, 1 hour with on the call. So if you have 15 minutes, how can you ask your questions such a way that, yeah. And how do you also ask questions that you're not the one talking for 50%, 60% of the time, right? That they actually do the talking and you're not just the one talking. So, but you'll figure it out. I think by the time you do when you start, yeah. we'll crack it up. So just quickly, five minutes to go. Ubara, let me just maybe 5 minutes to go. One, there's a poll quickly. Please just quickly answer the poll. I think by now you're aware of how to go find the poll. So quickly do that. Number two, please, in the next 24 hours, I want you to rework, like based on what your feedback you just got now, I want you to send back. So by 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. West African time tomorrow, send back your what you sent, was it today or yesterday? The problem statement, your customer journey map, like just do all that again and send it back, right? An updated one. And then expect an email from us tomorrow, right? As regards next steps. So already the video is there. So just go into your system, right? One video, one more module has been added. I think for most of you already watched the videos there, right? So after the root cause analysis, there's a new video that just been added in there as well to help you guide it towards the next activity. So if you have time, you can also watch that, because the email I'll be sending tomorrow with all the details as regards what you'll be doing going forward, we'll be referencing that video, right? Please, I want you to note that you are still focused on the problem and customer segment. So on the link canvas, there are just two parts of the link canvas that are really focused on the problem side and what customer segment. So please, yeah, just stick with that. Hold on, let me I think it's best I just share my screen so that there is no confusion. And for most of you, your link canvas is already right there, right on your board. So yeah, so just focus on the problem and the customer segment. Can you see my screen? Just I need a voice, so I can see you. Can you see my screen?
No, we can't.
Oh, you can't.
Not yet.
Sharing again. Okay, can you see it now? Okay, so can you see the bit that has problem and then existing alternatives? So that is what you're focusing. That's your focus right now. It's around that, and then you can see the extreme right, customer segment, and then early adopter. That is what you're focused on, right? So even by the time my email comes tomorrow, that's what the next step after the man is to fill in those parts, right? And then your assumptions and your questions. The video does a good job of doing that. And yeah, one more thing, just for your information here, my email also contains all this. On Friday, I'll be available from 7 to 8 p.m. on a call, the same time, same link. So anybody who wants to jump on that call as well, if you have questions or you want to make that time, maybe a working session as well, and put in breakout rooms to work there, that your choice is optional, but I'll be available that time to answer any questions that you may have. With that, just in the last 2 minutes, Ajala, you go first before Fubara. The question.
Hi, Jonah. Good evening. Actually, it's not a question, more like a request and observation. If we could have more time to rework our assignment, and that's because based on feedback that we were given during the call today for Group 5, I think we have to rework everything from problem statement to our personal to our journey. And I mean, the team has to even like be able to put everything together into 2-3 days was almost impossible for us. If we could just have like a little bit of extension past 6 p.m. today and 6 p.m. tomorrow to be able to submit the assignment rework, maybe till midnight, that could be very helpful, please. Thank you.
Okay. What if I even do you one better and say 9 a.m. Friday? Is that fine?
Yes. Okay. That would be very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Who else? Fubara, quickly.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, the interviews, we can have virtual interviews.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. In the absence of any other question, yes, Maggie, you get the recordings. When the recordings once it's dropped, yeah, I'll let you know. It will be with the email. Thank you. Thank you, Oluchi. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Well done.